With so many people active in the online social media space and the word influencer being tossed around like Logan Paul's fiance's nudes during a fight promotion, I think it's important that with such a broad spectrum of content and age ranges, we take a deep dive into understanding of what the word influencer really means. There's a fine line between the idea of an influencer and an advertiser. I think it's important to hone in on the different utilizations of the word influencer in order to draw a distinction to this polysemous. Some social media faces have such big egos, they often refer to themselves as influencers, when really they are simply being used to advertise products. On the other hand, you have influencers that have a favorable position on certain subjects that draw attraction to them. They often have a positive impact on their audience, while simultaneously pointing people in the direction of a specific product or brand. Where the water becomes muddy is when you hear someone refer to themselves as an influencer, like a dude wearing Daisy Duke shorts and more makeup on his face than Marilyn Monroe. When it catches the attention of parents, this is when the outrage begins. Some of you may be familiar with the ad-pocalypse that went down back around 2015 because too many truth-tellers, along with hilarious teenage heathens who successfully amassed audiences of millions, had huge mainstream brands running pre- and mid-roll ads on their YouTube videos. Between PewDiePie, Leafy Is Here, and that one guy who taught his dog to Heil Schmidtler, this caught the attention of mainstream news who found themselves far behind in the runnings. This is when people really started to wake up, and I don't mean today's woke. People were more interested in getting current events from Philip DeFranco, Alex Jones, and Steven Crowder. It was obvious to just about anyone with half a brain that the mainstream news, whom we now refer to as legacy media, since their relevance still manages to hang in the balance, although by force when you really think about it, had all along been pushing more propaganda than China. They were the primary reason why big companies stopped advertising on some of these social media platforms until stricter guidelines were established for content creators. Anything to throw a wrench in the spokes. Unfortunately, that has led us to the point where woke means you think a man can become a woman, and vice versa, and people like James Charles were pushed to the top, becoming the new age influencers. This was a key point when the title of influencer became more of a noun than a verb, as sad as that sounds. As bad as it is for the general public, it was good for legacy media and, of course, big corporations like pharmaceutical companies. They weren't about to let YouTubers control the narrative and allow for free thought if there was anything they could do about it. Now, modern masculinity is being attacked because the so-called woke liberal influencers, with the support of the mainstream propagandists like CNN and MSNBC, are doing anything they can to stop men like Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson from encouraging young, weak men to grow up and be strong, self-sufficient, hard-working men, as if that's a bad thing. Although it doesn't make sense to any average, normal person trying to raise a family and do their best in the world. For some reason, the liberal left and their puppet masters would rather confuse children into believing they can choose their own gender. So what is an influencer? It is up to you to decide. I can tell you what it should be, but like many things, those at the top have harnessed enough power to control what you will believe. An influencer in 2023 is someone who gets you to buy products so a company can make more money. An influencer in the early 2000s was someone who encourages young minds to be positive and not to rely on the government. But in this day and age, society is so brainwashed. They have done everything they can to get us to the point that we will only thrive if we rely on government assistance. From fake news, to organized protests, to lab-borne illnesses disseminated into the public in order to induce even more fear and uncertainty, we are forced to pay top dollar at the gas pumps and grocery stores. And now we even have to worry about what our children are learning in school. These people encourage the burning of the American flag while replacing it with a rainbow flag. It's terrifying to think some of these wacky teachers that you see on TikTok believe they are a good influence. They shouldn't even be influencing their own pets. It leaves us wondering how this could have ever happened. So, without question, if you are a mom or dad, then you, my friend, have got to be the influencer. And it is your job to make sure your children grow up to understand the real difference between reality and clown world conjecture. Hope you've enjoyed. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Prime Optimization. Stay tuned for more from my creative writings playlist.